Grit and Grace, featuring ambitious and inspirational small businesses in Indian River County, exploring their pursuit of success and how we can continue to help them thrive. And now your host, Sarah DePart.
That's really cute that he did that.
Hey everybody, we're back. This is Grit and Grace. Hope you guys have had a wonderful week. Such beautiful weather out there. Hope you're getting out there in the sun and enjoying some vitamin D. So Grit and Grace is a show about small businesses here in Indian River County, how they are thriving, how we can help them thrive, their commitment to our community, highlighting their success, their story, who they are, and how they have come to do what they do. So today we have an amazing woman. Her name is Susanna Miracle, and she is a psychologist here in Vero Beach. And we are so happy to have you here today, especially because I love always asking every single one of my guests about their self-care and their mental health care and what they do for themselves. So to have my first mental health professional on the show is pretty exciting for me. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Hello, everybody. I'm Susanna Miracle. So I was born in Illinois, but my family moved us all down here after, I think, like the first blizzard that happened after I was born. They were like, yeah, no, we can't do this. So having an infant in blizzard country is apparently not the easiest thing. And so we moved down South Florida, and I grew up outside of Fort Lauderdale. I ended up here in Vero in 2013 after I finished fellowship up in Maryland. Again, the cold was not something that I wanted to do for any longer, so I came back to Florida.
Yeah. And so where all did you go to school? You just mentioned Maryland, but like, where did you go to school?
I did undergrad at FAU in Jupiter, and then I got a master's degree at UCF in Orlando, and then I did my doctorate at Nova Southeastern in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
From there, I had to do a pre-doctoral internship at Jackson Memorial in Miami, and then I did my fellowship at Sheppard Pratt Hospital in Maryland, and then I came back here.
Nice. So what type of psychology do you work with? What do you do exactly, like in your office?
Yeah. So psychology, mental health in general, has lots and lots of different specialties, just like medicine does. You go to a dermatologist, but you also go to an oncologist. You also go to a GI. So mental health providers have specialties along those same lines or similarly.
Right.
My specialty is health, sports, and the treatment of eating disorders. Health psychology, sports psychology, and the treatment of eating disorders. And what brings all three of those different components together, the similarities between all three of them, is that in all three different pieces of mental health, all of them are at the intersection of mental health and physical health. So in the medical psychology side and the health psych piece, it's that one I feel like is the most obvious, the overlap between mental and medical health, because most people have experienced some kind of minor to major medical issue. And if we all look back, we can remember that the mental state was impacted in some way. And so that's my role in there. And then in the sports psychology piece, usually it can range anywhere from just a sports performance perspective to this person happens to be an athlete who's also having mental health stuff going on. And then the treatment of eating disorders comes in because that is nestled almost directly in the middle between health psychology and the sports psychology, because that is where we're looking at your relationship with your body and the way that your relationship with your body can really hurt your physical body, and the ways that we can make all of that just better. So those are my specialties.
I love it. Especially in this day and age, because, there's so much that's pushed on us with the propaganda with social media and Instagram. I mean, I can't go on Instagram and not scroll through something that makes me, in a way, feel kind of like crap about myself. Because I'm like, I don't look like that. Or, I want to, have her this or that. And the comparison game, it's so hard to push that away when it's in your face so much. So I love that you treat all ends of that, because if you want A, you got to do B. And sometimes people want to cheat a little bit, and that, and it creates problems with like with mental health and with eating disorders. So
Totally. And like you're saying, it's relentless.
Yes.
It's, in many ways, it's always been relentless
Mm-hmm.
in many ways. But I think it's way more relentless in the last, 5, 10, 15 years with the emergence of social media,
Yeah.
because all of us are constantly walking around with the entirety of the human experience in your pocket on your cell phone. At any moment, you can pull out your phone and be completely bombarded with images and thoughts and opinions from any corner of the world.
Right.
Where 20 years ago, like, yeah, we had the internet, but you had to go home, turn on the computer, log into AOL.
Dial-up.
There were more barriers
Yeah.
to having those thoughts kind of constantly pushed on you.
Yeah.
So I
Agreed.
do think that the game has changed a little bit with body image because of the volume of what we're presented with.
Well, and also like the apps that you can use to alter your body in a
Correct.
video, in a picture, to make your booty
Yes.
bigger and make your waist smaller
Yep.
and make your skin seem
Yeah.
clearer and all that stuff. And so what you're looking at might not even be real.
Oh, it's often not. And here's the thing, I think most of us know that in
Yeah.
our heads. But when you've spent sometimes hours a day
Yeah.
scrolling through this stuff, again, you can know it,
Right.
but that doesn't stop your brain from experiencing those images.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the line of seeing it and reminding yourself, oh, wait, that's not real, you're still being exposed to it.
Right.
You're still being exposed to the quote unquote possibility of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain is still going to remember that, even if cognitively, mentally, you're able to say to yourself, no, that's not.
So when did you open your practice here? You said you came back here in 2013. Is that when
Mhm.
you opened up your practice?
No, I was with a group in Melbourne,
Mhm.
or Indian Harbor Beach, rather, from 2014 until 2017
Mhm.
when I started my practice down here. That was January of 2017.
Very cool. And we talked briefly earlier about like COVID and everything and how that changed everything for
Changed the
you
whole
and
game.
how you, envisioned what your therapy would be like, in person only, and that's the best way, and how.
I was, and I will admit freely, I was one of those people that said there is no way that virtual is going to work for the majority of people.
Yeah.
Because my entire education had been in person. We had always been taught that in person was the way, because you do gain a lot from being in the same room with a person.
Yeah.
Virtual therapy is not, it didn't start with COVID. People had
Yeah.
been doing that. It had been an option
Yeah.
for years. But
For some,
most
the
of
only
us,
option.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. But most of us didn't really adopt that as a major way of providing our services until we didn't have a choice.
Right.
And so that was like those early months of COVID, that like March, April, May,
Yeah.
into June, really, where most providers were doing, at least mostly, maybe not 100%, but most of their work virtually. It was an opportunity to disprove
Right.
what a lot of us had believed for years.
Right.
And that's how growth works.
Amen.
Sometimes like, I don't want to grow in this way, but here we are. So yeah, the whole virtual therapy experience has become just way more accessible. It
Yeah.
is a lot easier, I think, than it
Mhm.
was before, because most of us have just had to do it. And I think also for just the public,
Yeah.
the public who's looking for therapy, they found that like, oh wait, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't have to see someone who's in my town. I don't have to see someone who, I don't have to get in my car and drive necessarily 30
Right.
minutes to my therapist's office.
Move my whole day around. I could do it on my phone in my car real quick in
Right.
between.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the number of times that I have had sessions with people from their phones in their driveway or their phones in the parking lot of their work.
Yeah.
That's been a cool thing to see.
Well, and I have to say, I don't just ask everybody on the show about mental health because I believe in it. I've experienced it myself. I've been to therapy. My children have been in therapy. I feel like it's one of those things that is still kind of taboo sometimes with people, and sometimes people feel, oh, you're in therapy because something's wrong, and they don't understand that for like your well-being period and your growing as a person, it's super helpful. and meaningful and helps you learn different things about why you're acting the way you're acting, why you feel the way you feel, through talking it out with a mental health professional so they can help you understand and verbalize it too. That's been a big thing. I've seen it in my children. They've been, in the last 6 months, they've been able to verbalize so much better how they feel. And it makes me so happy, because when they're grown men, they can actually express themselves to their wives or husbands or whatever. And I'm so excited for them that they're learning it now, because, you know, so many times we don't know how to express ourselves in words. And I'm so excited for them that they're learning how to do that for themselves, automatically, even sometimes.
There are so many things that we are not born knowing, and
Right.
we don't just absorb it along the way. There are a lot of things that have to be deliberately taught to us, like how to do, like driving a car. You're not
Mhm.
born knowing how to drive a car. You don't turn 16 and suddenly know how to operate a vehicle. Someone has to take you to a vehicle, stick you in there, and say, okay, here's what we got to do. And then eventually it becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm.
But someone had to teach you in the
Right.
beginning. And being able to not only identify what it is that you're feeling, know the words to express that,
Mm-hmm.
know how to actually say those words out loud to another
Mhm.
person in
Have
a
the
way.
courage.
Yeah, totally. The courage, the grace to be,
Right.
speaking of grit and grace, like, oh, look at that tie in. there are a lot of steps
Yeah.
that
I agree.
don't necessarily come naturally to people.
Mhm.
And granted, there are people who have an easier time with that skill set.
Yeah.
But again, just like there are people who learn how to drive a car
yeah.
easier, who just go into the car and aren't scared
Right.
and pick it up way faster than somebody else.
Right.
Being able to discuss your emotional life, you can get better at it with practice.
Yes.
And yeah, it's going to be scary, just like driving a car in the
I
beginning was. But you get better at it, and you get less
Yeah.
afraid, and it's a good thing to do.
And one of the things we were talking earlier about is that my son, my youngest, he's very emotional, and when he gets upset, sometimes it's hard for him to calm down and stop
Mhm.
crying.
Yeah.
And although I'm not saying it's not okay for him to cry, it's just that he gets super worked up, and
Sure.
he needs to start calming himself down. So we do the pretzel and the smell the flowers, blow out the candles, and it works so well for him. And like I was telling you before, like I always play dumb, and I'm like, Declan, I can't remember how do you do that? How do I do this pretzel thing?
Remind
Like,
me.
so he's like, oh, mom, you know, and like shows me how to do it, walks me through it. Smell the flowers. Okay, what do I do next? Blow out the candles, and like by the time we get through all that, he's fine, and because he's completely distracted mentally from what he was upset about in the first place, and then we can have a real discussion about why he was so upset or what happened, and it's a huge game changer.
The skill that you're describing is called emotional regulation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just lots of letters to describe what happens when you have an experience and then have an emotional response to that experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen to us 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
Experience, emotional response.
Right.
We're not trying to stop that from happening
No.
because it's not possible to stop the experiences, and it's not possible to stop the emotional response. So emotional regulation means, yeah, you're going to have these feelings, you're going to have these experiences. How can you make it so that you can navigate, tolerate, manage them
Right.
as effectively as possible? So going back to our car driving metaphor, when you learn to drive a car, there are going to be hazards in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to cut you off. Someone is going to run a red light. There's going to be a pothole in the road, what have you. The idea is not to make those things not happen in your driving experience.
Right.
There's no way to stop those things from happening. But do you have the skill set to be able to navigate those things as they come to you?
Right.
And so what you're describing to Declan of, take a deep breath. I really love that. I don't know. Yeah, it's on video, but the listeners aren't going to see it. But the ability to pause, take a deep breath, manage your emotion,
Yep.
have a conversation with yourself or somebody else about the original experience so that you can manage the emotional consequence, so to speak, of that experience as effectively as possible. Again, that's not something that we're born knowing how to do. You benefit from having someone sit you down and specifically teach you how to do it and then practice. And it doesn't have to just be kids, people. We all need this. And it's something that you can learn. And
the next time I'm in the gym and I get upset about something, someone sees me doing a pretzel.
The cool thing about adults is that we don't necessarily need that many like physical, tactile reminders of how to do that stuff. When you're very little, all that stuff is super effective. And adults, I mean, we can take a deep breath without.
So we are going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, Susanna is going to talk to us about 2 different major categories of coping strategies. So see you guys in a few.
Revive Vero Beach, located next to Anytime Fitness on Oslo Road and 27th Avenue, has everything you need to look and feel your best, including hormone replacement therapy, stem cell therapy, sexual wellness, weight loss, laser aesthetics, hair, tattoo, and skin spot removal, Botox and fillers, cryotherapy, comprehensive blood work, and everybody's favorite ozone and IV therapy. Refresh, renew, and revitalize yourself at Revive today. Call 772-492-6607. A member of the iTex trading community. Your iTex dollars are welcome.
Is owning a home your goal? With the rising cost of rent, you could be saving a lot of money by owning your own home. At Caliber Home Loans, we can help make home ownership a reality. Meet with us for a free consultation and get on the right path to buy the home of your dreams. For Caliber, home loans is all we do. We use local appraisers and offer a variety of loan options to fit your lifestyle and budget. Call us today, 844-GO-CALIBER, license number CHL15622, CaliberHomeLoansTreasureCoast.com.
Advertising is essential. You've got to make people aware that you're there. We can do that with a cohesive marketing campaign from Evergreen Media. Based on your business goals, we'll create a mix of digital advertising on social media sites like Facebook, video advertising on streaming sites like Hulu and Paramount Plus, and supplement them with local TV and radio ads. Build awareness, educate, and inform the public with a cohesive marketing campaign by Evergreen Media. Check out egreenmedia.com or search online for Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
Hey guys, we're back to Grit and Grace. I'm Sarah DePardo, your host, and I am here today with Susanna Miracle, and she is a psychologist from our area here in Vero Beach, and she is going to share with us 2 different major categories of coping strategies. So, teach me.
Okay. I really like to think about things in lists and categories because I think it makes them easier to remember. So one of the things that I think is pretty critical to people in managing their mental health is the use of coping strategies / coping skills. And a lot of people have the impression that a coping skill or a coping strategy has to be a quote unquote healthy one, like go for a walk, talk to a friend, take a shower. But a coping strategy is just anything that gets you from point A to point B. So there are definitely healthier coping strategies and unhealthier coping strategies. So that's just a FYI. Remember that a coping strategy is just a thing you do to help you manage whatever's going on in your life. And so it helps to remember that there's 2 major kinds. There are what we call the cognitive coping strategies and the behavioral coping strategies. And the word cognitive, FYI, all it means is like thoughts. The word cognition is just an overly fancy way to say a thought. So the cognitive coping strategies are any coping strategy that you use to reroute your thought process. This is the worst day of my life. Wait, stop, hold on. Is it actually the worst day of my life? Well, clearly not. Is it a bad moment or a bad hour, or did something unfortunate, inconvenient, whatever happened to me, yeah, totally. But let's
Right.
be realistic. It's not the worst day of my life. This will probably be fine.
Mhm.
That's a really straightforward example of a cognitive coping strategy. And then the behavioral coping strategies is anything that you can physically do to manage whatever's going on. So that's usually what people think of when they think of the quote unquote coping strategies. The go for a walk, call a friend,
Mhm.
take a shower, listen to music, get a massage, work out. Yeah. Those are things that you do. They're
Yeah.
physical activities that you can do with your body. In general, when we can combine the cognitive and the behavioral coping strategies, that's usually the most effective way to address whatever stress or thing is going on in your life.
Mhm.
But just generally remember that there are two major categories. You can do one, you can do the other, but it's usually most helpful to combine them to address whatever's going on.
I love that because you hear so often about the doing things for it, for self-care,
Yeah.
so to speak, but not connecting both of them, like you said, changing the, thought process and the verbiage going on in your head about.
And that is where therapy can be super helpful.
Yes.
Because most therapists are going to focus on what is your perception of what's going on? What are you saying to yourself that is accurate? What are you saying to yourself that is not accurate? And
Mhm.
how can we shift things around to be
Right.
as accurate and reasonable and actionable as possible?
So if I wanted to come in for a session with you or someone listening and watching right now, how would we do that?
So the easiest way is to just call or shoot an email.
Mhm.
My phone number is all over all of my stuff on my website. The email address is also on there. So the way that I schedule people is that, or new people, I don't bring on a new patient unless I can guarantee to myself that if that person needs to be seen once a week, I can make that happen.
Right.
So sometimes if you're calling to make an appointment, it may not be a few weeks
Mhm.
until I can get you in. It may be a few weeks before I can get you in because I don't believe in bringing someone on. Let's say I have a cancellation next week, but then I can't see you again until 6 weeks go by. I don't love doing that. So I will wait until there's room on the caseload for a
Mhm.
person to be seen as often as possible. So there's usually a little bit of a wait time. to
Okay.
get in.
So if they search your name on the World Wide Web, they'll
Yep.
find
I'm at
ways
Balance
to
Wellness
contact
Center.
you.
BalanceWellnessCenter.com.
Nice. So with starting your own business like you did, is there anything that you would, quickly tell us that you could go back in time, you might do like a little bit differently?
I don't know that I would do it differently, but one of the things that I did have to learn kind of on the fly was the business side of
Right.
running a practice.
Oh my gosh,
Because when you graduate from a doctoral program, you're probably in pretty good shape to be a good clinician.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily teach you everything you need to know about being a small business owner.
Right.
So that would have been nice to have. But you do learn as you go because you kind of have to. And
Yeah.
being a member of the therapy group that I was with before was definitely helpful.
Good.
I learned a lot from them.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate your time and learning things from you, and reminding everybody that mental health is super important. I would like to take a moment to thank SALT for giving us passes for all of our guests here on Grit and Grace. And we will happily give those to you so you can go and enjoy some SALT, the Halo therapy,
That's awesome.
some
Thank you.
some self-care, if you will.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to have your business logo on the screen here for Grit and Grace, we take donations and sponsors all the time. Just get in contact with me, Sarah DePardo. Off Instagram is fine, and through the Grit and Grace Vero Instagram is fine as well. And definitely want to take a moment and thank Evergreen Media and our producer Cindy, because she's amazing. And see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful sunny day and weekend.